Alright, here's another little video about basic information that I'm trying to make sure that all of you guys have, because some of you guys have things that other classes didn't get for whatever reason, so I want to make sure that you guys are all on the same page. So what we're going to talk about right now is something called graphite transferring. Graphite transferring is one of two ways that artists take their sketches onto a different surface to be ready for painting. Gridding, of course, is obvious. You take the drawing, you make a grid, and then you make a grid on your painting surface, and you transfer the grid. In this case, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that your sketch is the exact same size that your painting is going to be. Whereas with gridding, you can make a small picture very, very, very big. So in this case, graphite transferring is one of the main ways that watercolorists begin their painting. Some of them go straight in clearly, and a lot of them, when they want to do a painting of something that they sketched earlier or something that they were thinking about, or they really like the sketch, this is how they would go about transferring it. And the reason why this is so important with watercolor is because watercolor paper doesn't take kindly to erasures, and a lot of times watercolor paint and graphite does not mix, especially if you're using yellows. So all it is, okay, so this is a drawing of a little plant, this little glass bottle, and it's got all these sloppy little lines, and I don't want all that in my finish, and plus it's too dark anyway. So what do? You know, I have my nice surface under here, and I don't want it getting all messed up. So what I'm going to do is call it graphite transfer. So I take this, and I turn it over. And then exactly where the drawing is, I'm going to color over it with a darker pencil. I'm going to use a 4B. You could use a number 2. You can use an ebony. I don't like ebonies for this purpose because I think they're just a little bit too dark. But, you know, use what you have available. And then also, there is paper that's designed for this. It's called carbon paper or graphite paper. You know, you can also trace. I'm sure that's not going to work on a watercolor paper because watercolor paper is never see-through. I guess you could argue that U-pose a little bit see-through. Anyway, my point is that there are other things that you can do, so you don't have to use a pencil to do this, but I prefer pencil because it's free. You know, make it a great day or not. The choice is yours. And I choose free. Alright, so this is essentially everywhere that my drawing is. And to check, you hold it up to the light, and you see, oh, ooh, I missed that little corner at the bottom. Let me go make sure that that's all filled in, because if it's not filled in, when you go to do the drawing transfer, it's going to skip and miss that part. Alright, the next thing you do, put your drawing where you want it, and you put a little piece of tape, hold it down so it doesn't move, and then you take a ballpoint pen. You can use other things. I like ballpoint pens because the tips are pretty smooth. It doesn't get caught on the graphite, and it, you know, it works pretty well. And so of course I'm, you know, rushing like I do. But essentially you want to make sure that you choose the lines that you really want to keep, and ignore all the sketchy lines. And also, since this is glass, I'm going to be very careful with what lines I put for the bottle, because I want the glass to look see-through, and that's not going to come across very well if all the things that are supposed to be see-through are covered with pencil. Alright, so, and this is like the table or whatever it is in the background. You have to tape it down, because if not, your paper's going to want to move, and if it moves, then you lose something called your registration, and the police pull you over. I'm just joking. You lose the straight portion, like your edges matching up to your drawing. And so this way you get a nice clean drawing in the end to paint on. And also you can take this time to correct things in your sketch that you didn't like. So not just picking the good lines, but also making new good lines. I'm going to put one right here and one right here. Okay, so once that's done, All you got to do is pick up your paper and look at that. So now this is ready to be painted on. Now some of this part looks really dark. You can take a gum eraser or a white plastic eraser and lighten it up a little bit. And because it's not sketchy, it's not easy to kind of knock a little bit back into the background. Like I said, this is a good way to make sure that you don't have super, super dark lines for your pencil. And of course I pressed really hard, you know, you can press lighter. All of my students are like, you use an eraser. I know. All right, so graphite transfer.